maybe first and foremost is because of all the people who were interviewed in this book. It's a combination of you who have been supporting this channel and enjoying all the conversations that we have about the Beatles. We cover everything here on this channel, the group years, the solo years, sometimes what's going on in the news, their history, their music, anything that comes to mind that we feel like talking about on the show. Many one-on-one interviews are done here. I also have panel discussions as well. On the show this time, we have Lori Jacobson, who is the author of this new book called Top of the Mountain, The Beatles at Shea Stadium, 1965. She has a long history in television, working on documentaries and specials, and maybe we'll touch on that later on in the show. But welcome, Lori, to
Well, everybody's heard about the bird.
Now we're a week away. How are you feeling?
I'm nervous. I'm excited. I'm thrilled at the opportunity to introduce myself to other Beatles people. Meet the special guests. So we got Chris O'Dell at 7.
Liverpool, world's finest Beatles tribute band in concert.
Open mic night.
Little singer over here.
No.
Name that tune competition. If we can do it as a tag team, we're
Womack and Womack and Womack. I wonder if I got that. So I don't think we can play any songs tonight. It's desperate. Hold on. You see, there's Womack with no customers. That's Blofeld. Good evening. Yes. Yeah, that was a remarkable recovery, wasn't it, considering? I reckon it was like, you remember that film, The Last King of Scotland, when Idi Amin's like doubled up in pain and he thinks he's been poisoned and everything. He's just got a big fart. He goes, oh no! Do you know what I think? Do you know what I know? This sounds a bit sinister, and all right, you could say, "How could you think such things, Ray? How could you think that of another human being?" But I'm going to say this. I'm going to say it out. I'm going to put it out there right now. I think he was desperately trying to get Wang Chung Lennon to notice that he was at death's door and to turn up and to pay for everything, pay for the funeral arrangements. And then the deal was, I leave everything to you and Yoko. But cheated in death also. But I'll tell you what, one good thing is you'll meet John Lennon before we do. And George Harrison, but I'd want to meet him, eh? Quite be boring to talk to when he, Krishna. You couldn't sit down and have a pint of Murphy's with him, could you? Or you couldn't have a beer and a burger with him. Mm. Well, listen, let me tell you. Oh, yeah, I want to answer that question because this vicious deathbed, I'm not saying anything because he could have been a sick man. And, you know, like I said, hospitals are wonderful places. You can go in there, you could be at death's door and they put this and then a and a and then seriously, they've brought you back alive from death. It's amazing. 20 years ago, he would have come out of stiff by now. He would have done. A lot of people would have done. A lot of people would have. It's amazing the leaps and bounds that medicine has taken in the last few years. And so, like I said, my sixth sense says no, he's not sick. He's not that sick. He thinks he's sick, but he's not, because otherwise he wouldn't be picking up a video camera, filming the wall. Not for one, but two videos. But the second one, he was feeling better, but he did take down the first one because it was so, honestly, it was so ham, wasn't it? So hammy. I couldn't believe it. I thought, what? Anyway, listen, in response to his abuse, which I know was directed at me, probably via Tom Honey, and it was probably, listen, but however it got to him, it doesn't matter. What he should be aware of, yes, I don't want to end up in hospital, and yes, I don't want to be in that position. So don't think I'm sitting here laughing at you. I was just saying, you are the architect of your own position that you was in a couple of days ago and may still be in today. It's not my fault. It's your fault, and you wouldn't listen to me. And if that's bullying, well, hang me. But you know what I mean? If who's doing more good, me telling him like it is? Tell it, because I've lost my uncle Raymondo 3 times. He went back in hospital. 3rd time he didn't get out, and it was his own fault because he just would not stop drinking vermouth, and it wasted. But you know, and I don't know if you get this in America because you pay for your treatment, but he wasn't paying for his treatment. The rest of us were paying for his treatment. To be a selfish bastard, we get this day in, day out in England. Not to mention the rest of the world coming in to have babies and God knows what. Because why not just go to England and get it for free, have a holiday at the same time? Anyway, look, enough of this moaning. That's a separate issue. So, yes, to answer your question, Mr. Mayo, I don't want to be in hospital. No, I don't. I'm at that age where, listen, I'm in a dangerous position like you. I like some beer. Sooner or later, I won't be able to have a beer. I will kill myself because this has happened with other members of my family. And I'm getting to an age. My dad, I'm 55, 56 in January, but he was dead at 57. So listen, that's what, 2 years. Already I've had a girlfriend who was into witchcraft and decided that I was going to die violently by the age of 40. And I thought, well, maybe she's got her moons and suns muddled up and they've just sort of mixed it up by 17 years. Because, you know, they say the millennium was probably about 1983. You know, there's all this kind of thing like, was 1066 actually 1066? Fucking around with calendars and loss of time. You know, it wasn't till the British come along that we had time. I'm sorry about that, but that's the way it was. Even though they're trying to eradicate us from the world at the moment. Oh, it makes you sick, doesn't it? Hey, where would the world be without the British? Where would it be? And don't say, oh, there wouldn't be Beatles. Fuck the Beatles. Fuck the Beatles. 4 useless musicians. Useless musicians. You know, I'd uploaded that. It wasn't even Pete Best's song. It was like, I don't know, was Star Club. It was awful, wasn't it? Oh, but George was only 17 at the time, and oh, but John was drunk. No, They say, oh, we learnt how to play rock and roll. Now, this was about the last gig they did in Hamburg. So was that how much they had learnt to play in those, 1-2 years? It's not very impressive, is it? It's very clunky. It's very horrible. And it sounded just like Pete Bess's Stage Invasion. Do you remember? I know it's a long time ago now with all the controversy about Mayo's whatever, deathbed confessions. Oh, yeah. Well, the latest thing, everybody's getting COVID 3 times. I mean, it's the trendy thing to do nowadays. I was talking to my mum yesterday and she said, oh, such and such has had it twice. I says, Mum, I've probably had it twice, 3 times. I know. I said, I'm always coughing and spluttering me. But I said, I haven't really felt that bad. Not really. Ugh. He said, no, I don't want to go into hospital ever, really. Because, you worry about what they're going to find, don't you? You do. And also, it's not just that. It's why should I clog up the National Health Service? All they do is want more money. We haven't got enough for this. We haven't got enough for that. It's bullshit. If I was running the NHS, I'll tell you what, you'd have to pay at the door £5 to get seen. That's nothing, is it? £5. Unless you're being brought in like, you're cutting off and an ambulance brings you in, stitching you up and everything. That's, you can understand not trying to get a fiver out of a bloke's pocket under those circumstances. But it's like I said, there's so many people I know. My brother's one. A bloke I used to live with called Dave. He was always in the hospital. Lee Biggs, I mentioned him yesterday. Always in the hospital because they love it. They love it. It's day out for them. I don't mean like they get themselves booked into a room. I mean they hang around the hospital, and if they've cut their finger, they'll go into the hospital. They'll even cut their finger to go into the hospital, and they'll wait. They'll clog up the emergency. This is accidents and emergencies, and they'll clog up the accident and emergency for untold hours. And also you get the foreigners in because they're not allowed, because they have to be official residents with a national insurance number to register with a doctor. So they all go down to the accident and emergency when they've got a toothache or when they've got, so it's clogged up. I'll tell you what, you can't go down a hospital and see a white face anymore. You can't. It's appalling. It's appalling. And you think to yourself, why would these people want to save my life? Why would they? I mean, I'm just talking, usually the surgeons are white or, more trustworthy colours. But, it's just, it does make you frightened, doesn't it? You pay your taxes all your life. You think one day I'm just going to put my feet up and some young people with nice smiles and blonde hair are going to look after me and, do all the right things to me, wheel me around. But, if I think about third world people looking after me, they'll slap me, they'll beat me up. And, I've got a wife to look out for as well. So, you do worry about these things, because I wouldn't want to be put in a old people's home or anything or be crippled. It's terrible to think. I was only thinking the other day, I was a bit angry walking through the streets, and I thought, oh, I need a couple of beers. And I thought, I know I'd like to have an argument tonight, and maybe do a bit of pushing and shoving. And I thought to myself, no, because everyone's carrying knives these days. You've got to be careful. I don't want to die just for having an argument. That's the thing. It makes you depressed. Oh. But anyway, listen, I mustn't talk about it. It's Mr. Mayo having a pop at me. So like I said, I don't want to go to hospital. No, that's the answer to my question. But I'm just guessing, Mr. Mayo, that you have got in there for exactly the reasons what I told you about. Blame it on the boogie, blame it on the COVID, whatever. I reckon he keeled over. Because he'd eat too much. Oh, it wasn't like that at all. How can you say these things? Anyway, we're all waiting for Richie Dolin. So where is he? All right, let's put a bit of what's his face on quick while we're waiting.
They were all a great time. I had 4 panels, and but they were all a great time. We,
Where
of
is he?
course, recorded.
Yeah, I wonder if she's ever, that female Ghostbusters. It weren't at all funny, was it? It was shit. It was. I mean, it was one of those films you had to watch because there'd been so much talk about it. And I was gritting my teeth, like when Lenny Henry was on Boxing Day in 2004, and we was all gritting our teeth because we thought, They said, what did you watch Lenny Henry then in the jungle? And we were said, and 2 of us at least said, well, we just wanted to feel angry, But it was enough, they shouldn't have done that on Boxing Day because it's out of order. Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh, you know what time zone he lives in? Fucking Gallifrey time. If you're English, you'd maybe get that. Maybe not. Actually, you might do. Yeah. Say where Gallifrey is. Who lives in Gallifrey? Who used to live in Gallifrey? Actually, I've changed the plot with that as well now. All along, it was a black woman. That's where it all started. Oh, Vinyl Richie's here. Look. And Jimmy Nicol, the original Beatle, the original Beatles drummer. Ding! I want my job back. Where did you play, Jimmy? Where did you play? Was it Amsterdam? Was it Honkers Bonkers? Was it? Well, I don't know. 1964 it was, wasn't it? All those years ago. Oh, yeah, I was going to say something about Kit. Yeah, when I was watching that Ghostbusters film, and I didn't laugh once. Oh, I did. I laughed twice. Because there was a bit where right at the beginning, and the manager turns up, and they think, he died 3 years ago, and then he turns up, he's got the same name, but it's his son. But you had to be there to watch that one. But what was the other? Oh, yeah. Now, the reason I mentioned this is because Kit O'Toole. And they said, oh, yeah, the bloke who owned this house was responsible for, was an industrialist who was also responsible for the anti-Irish wall. I can imagine Kit O'Toole trying to get over it. By the way, because these times aren't no fun, there was a lot of complaints about that as well. Oh no! Hey, listen, if you want to start defending crappy drummers round here, Vinyl Richie, you can be off, you can be gone. Which it's up to you. You can stay or you can be gone. I'm not hounding you out of this stream. Like I said, everyone's got their own opinion. My opinion is any drummer to do with the Beatles sucked. I don't think there was ever a good drummer, was there? Was there ever a good drummer with anybody connected to the Beatles? They were all a bit low budget, weren't they? Really? Yeah. Sorry, just thinking out loud. Yes, this is true. And you know what? This was another thing I was going to discuss, but I don't know if I can do it tonight. I've been getting a few emails coming in, and people are a little bit despondent about these times, and I can't blame them because they are desperate times. I'm beginning to think there's a big world conspiracy. I can't say any more about that right here, right now, because of YouTube rules. But the problem is, it's the Beatles. I've kind of stopped listening to them. Now, I will say there's a little bit of space for the White Album. Why, I'm not quite sure. I'm not sure. But hang on, let me just take a breath for a minute, please. Now, listen, I've made this complaint before. Nothing's happened. You know, I warned you all about Beatles experts, and they're getting worse, and they're getting more and more distant from the actual Beatles. And most of the people that are being interviewed now have never met any one of the Beatles, or at least only met them very fleetingly for about 2 seconds, or suck their cock. I mean, there's nobody really left out there to tell any stories, apart from some people who might be able to open their mouths as soon as Macca dies. And I don't think Ringo's a very interesting person, that, you know, so he can stay alive as long as he wants. But you know, I'm from, you know, there was a time where I just couldn't get enough of the Beatles. I couldn't. I was living in a Beatles world. I was living in a beautiful egg of the Beatles, and do you know what? It felt all right. It did. I was isolated from everybody else in the world. Yeah, there was a couple of friends who I had some kind of interaction with the Beatles with, but not many, only two or three. Most people weren't that bothered. You know, they was more bothered about other stuff. In fact, the other three people I'm talking about, they was also bothered about other stuff, contemporary stuff. So the Beatles did, but the Beatles were there on because of me. They did get to know about the Beatles, and you know, over the years, people do kind of end up appreciating some of their stuff, but it doesn't make them a fan. And I think we've heard too much of it now. And I didn't realise, because you know what, I was working at the post office years ago, and I was doing bag tipping for the night, and I thought, maybe I'll bring a tape in tonight rather than we listen to the radio. So I bought a tape in. There's the man from the recorded deliveries, and me, I'm tipping a few bags, putting on the old Best of the Beatles, one that I'd done myself as well, so that all the shit had been taken out. 90 minutes of fun, I'm thinking. Anyway, got about 30 minutes into it, and the bloke come out of the recorded office. Now, he's a contemporary of the Beatles. He said, listen, he says, I can't listen to any more Beatles. You're going to have to turn it off, mate. And fair dues. And I couldn't understand it at the time, but I do now. We put the Beatles into a box, but, you know, we keep them there. And it's also a place where we forgive them a lot. And you say you have to pull yourself out of the box and then look into this abyss that is the Beatles and say, how good were they? How good are they? How do they stand up? Will people actually be talking about them in 10, 15 years? Where will when they're all dead, what will their legacy actually be? Because will we actually be allowed to talk about the Beatles now? We don't talk about Michael Jackson anymore, do we? We don't talk about Chuck Berry. And much as they've tried to reinvent Elvis, it's fallen flat on its arse, hasn't it? It's not going to happen. These old white people, they're in the wrong game at the moment, I'm telling you. So, you know, a lot of them will, Clapton, when Clapton's dead, all that stuff's going to come out. I'm surprised Bowie's got away with it so far, but if Bowie gets popular again, this will come up about his racism and when he was dressing up as a Nazi and everything. You know, all this stuff will be brought up, and then you won't be able to say one word in these people's favour. Because like I said, even if somebody's not been found guilty, and I'm not defending people, because a lot of the time they've bought their way out of trouble. So I know that they're fucking guilty. Like Prince Andrew, you know the wanker's guilty, but they've paid their way out of it. So we know they're guilty. But it's always the case, though, isn't it? You know, even if we can't officially sanction their music, it'll be unofficially done because, like I said, if somebody put a Michael Jackson song on the radio during, say, Radio 1 or Radio 2, it'd probably get quite a few complaints. Do you know what I mean? And then it'll come to a point where people say, well, we don't want to put it on because it's controversial. And you bring controversial into it, especially where kids are involved, and it's you know, I mean, I can't switch myself off from good music, you know, and I'm very, you know, I will pick and choose my perverts to listen to still, and I do listen to Michael Jackson, but I understand why he's not being played much these days. It's the way it went. That's his legacy. And he should have behaved himself a little bit better. And there'll be a lot more like that. As we stand here today, John Lennon is being more and more vilified for all kinds of crimes that he's done. And this is worth a whole program by itself. Also, the Dakota years is worth it. I mean, these are things worth talking about, but they're all negative. So it makes me think, what am I doing here anymore? Why? Because I'm not listening to the Beatles songs. All I'm doing is getting some sort of entertainment by listening to these Beatle experts talking crap. And my God, they're talking crap. But sometimes it's so funny. I mean, these people are older than me usually. And there's 4 of them and they're getting excited about opening a fucking box. I mean, come on. Come on. Oh, hello, Winifred. Yeah, it is a name that means trouble. We know who Winifred is. We also know who Richie Dolin is. And where is Richie Dolin? He's supposed to be here tonight. Do you want to see some more Got Wang while we're waiting? Move it, Gok. I think we're very lucky to have this footage.
More talk.
Twok more twok. The anti-Irish wall. Twok more twok. She's the worst of a lot of them. She's worse than Mayo and Kenny Loggins put together, that woman. She is. I mean, you do not get a back garden. She calls it a backyard. Kit O'Toole, have you ever seen what a backyard looks like? Google terraced house, England, backyard. Then you'll see what a backyard actually looks like, not like the fucking New Forest. I know another woman in America, she's called Laura Satterfield, and she's so powdered fannies, you know what I mean? She's got these dogs, and she's, oh my dog. And you know what? These are all such lovey-dovey, tree-hugging people. And she's got a fucking backyard garden the same size as Kit O'Toole's. And you think, where do these girls get the money from? Living on their own? You know, and anyway, and she was saying, she was on the Facebook page and she was worried because there was 2 black men walking around her backyard or the perimeter of her backyard, which was probably 6 miles away. And I thought, you see, the middle classes don't like it. They go into town and say, oh, we've got to be so progressive. We've got to involve everybody. And, you know, they don't have to live next door to them, but as soon as they're near their fucking front garden and the dogs start barking, oh, there's some shifty-looking blokes. What do they look like, madam? They're black. That's what it's, you know, this is, so it's one law for one law for another. And that's what they're doing. They want to kill us all. Van Dolin. Why? What have you been arguing with him as well, Richie? Vinyl Richie. Too many vinyls here today, and Richies, and God knows what. I'm confused. Well, what's this? Marty McGrath was did Mr. Mayo before he was taken sick? Did he lay into you for no good reason? Because I'd heard some sort of words about him. I mean, he won't leave independent-minded people alone. He's frightened of academics. I mean, and this is it. The world's expert. Mr. Mayo, if you're listening and you're in the hospital bed, relax. We're not going to say nothing nasty. It's all right. Relax. It's all right. No one's coming to do Don Corleone on you. Do you remember when he's in hospital? Can you go outside and make out you're holding a gun? I come here to pay my respects. So I wander off all over the place, don't I? So, Tudor Spliff, he's one of the greatest legends of all time. Not that other, you remember that other Tudor bloke who was trying to rip off John Heaton? You can't do it. You cannot do it. Even if he's just driving all over the place saying, oh, I'm going to beat Andrew Dixon to do this. Well, let me tell you, Andrew Dixon might have got there, but remember who got to the South Pole second? Captain Scott, and that's the one we remember because he didn't eat all the fucking dogs, did he? No, he got there and he died like a true British gentleman. Yeah. Anyway, what's that got to do with anything? Yeah, maybe I'll just try and give him another call, see what's happening. Wait there. He hasn't answered yet. He hasn't answered. Does anybody know Ed Ching's number? Gok Wang. He's blinking at me. He's doing Morse code with slanty eyes. Oh, hold on a minute. I'm drinking Murphy's tonight. It's very nice, but it's quite filling, you know, and it makes me froth up a little bit. And just to let you know, if I get into serious bother health-wise, pray for me after I've gone. That's when it counts, I think. There is no point in begging God to stay alive when God's already decided when you're going to die. Actually, that's my mum's belief. I really don't like that. She says our life's all mapped out for us, and it's really worrying. And she also believes in reincarnation. And she says we're reincarnated as we were on Earth. So I might come back as a beautiful stallion. Mr. Mayo could come. Kenny Loggins could come back as a wise old owl, or perhaps just a mosquito, a blood-sucking leech. And who else? Beetle Brad could come back as an actual beetle. You know, not the sort of beetle that you get, you know, what you call the ladybugs. We call them ladybirds because they're ladybirds, you know, they're ladybirds. Well, anyway, the ladybugs is very pretty beetles. But let me tell you, an ugly beetle is the dung beetle. So, Beetle Brad, you're coming back in my mother's reincarnation as a dung beetle. How about that? And you can bring along your poo-stained Pete Best autograph and your what's the other one? Jack Douglas with his pint spilt all over it. Oh, here, listen, that'd be good, wouldn't it? Imagine that. Imagine having an LSD trip and watching one of Melinda's broadcasts and then becoming the real lion in her painting and charging out and grabbing her round the waist and going, rah, rah. But the trouble is, where would you stop if you're a tiger? You'd probably eat her, wouldn't you? I expect I would. I'd even do that, or I'd start bowing. Like, what was it? You know, He-Man and the Master of the Universe. Who was the cat on that? Because he was always like bowing down to She-Ra, wasn't he? Like, and who could blame him, eh? Whew. She had a nice bed, didn't she? Too good for blooming children's TV, I'll tell you that much. But anyway, if you've got any memories of 80s TV shows for children, I'd be very happy to hear, especially of John Heaton, because he had to go to special college where they kept him in extra hours. So he might not have been able, they do something called prep at his school, which means he's busy till about 7 o'clock in the evening. doing extracurricular activities. You know, he's got to play rugby, even if he gets his eyes poked out every time. You know, he's got to do what's that hanging off the bars? He's got to do Latin lessons. Repeat after me. I said, Heaton, quid pro quo. What does that mean? Please quote for me the entire Pilgrim's Progress by John Bunyan. Now, anyway, look, what was I saying about him? Oh, I can't remember. No, listen, please, Marty McGrath, don't think you're the first or the last person to go through this. And he's been. This is where the start of all these arguments come from, Marty McGrath. Do you know what? Because just because people like James Byers were watching my channel when I had a bit of a drunken breakdown one day, and they were singled out. Everybody was being singled out. Rachel's channel was doing it. Tom Hunyati, Mr. Mayo, they was all publicly broadcasting what a terrible human being I am. And of course, there were innocent people dragged into it. Richie Dolin was dragged into it as well. Horrible times they were. And Mr. Mayo was the mastermind behind it all. But like I said, we can't hold grudges forever. Certainly not over the Beatles. Not over the Beatles. Now I'm going to give you a quick, because I've got no music tonight, so I'm going to give you a Beatles song of my own. Mr. Mayo, I'll give him his favourite Beatles song the other day, which is so naff. So I'm not doing that again, because I said it's like a love so warm and beautiful. I'm not singing it. I'm not gonna involve myself with such embarrassment tunes. Can you imagine Vinyl Richie going around to Melinda's and saying, I've got a few records for us to listen to. Now, I know Melinda's enthusiastic about new music, you know, and you know, she thinks the British music's cool as well, you know, so it's good. But what about if you went round there and you took a love so warm and beautiful? Do you think she'd be throwing you out the house pretty damn quick? Because remember, she brought them blooming biker hobos, Hell's Angel people round there, and they didn't know nothing, did they? They was thick as shit. And I thought to myself, well, she's probably having a good time with them, though. She's probably listening to all that music that her husband don't want to listen to with her. You know, all that old stuff from the mid-'80s. And I want, and I need. Guns N' Roses or whatever those sort of people listen to. I don't know. But, you know, I mean, sometimes there is a bit of escapism. You know, you do worry about your partner's fantasies sometimes, because you think, well, you know. Yeah, and my wife confessed something to me the other day. She said Across the Universe is, well, I said, do you know what? Across the Universe is pretty crap, really. And she says, yes, I agree with you. And I thought, well, there you go. See, it's been killed for her as well, because she hates that sort of powdered fanny film. Like, you've seen that, Across the Universe. I haven't seen it. Who's that Elliot Roberts blooming girly, blooming psychedelic loony? He said it's a wonderful film. I think he did. And I just thought, you puff. Elliot Roberts, you bloody puff. Anyway, we're still waiting for Dolin. I don't know, so we'll just have a bit more got wang for a minute.
Our Talk More Talk here live. We also put on our podcast.
can't stop it. That's the problem with this extra screen. It's a little bit jittery, but in years to come, it will be better. I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it. Do you remember when you used to hold those old Nokia bricks and you'd be like, oh, I'm just going to climb up the side of this building because I can't get a signal? It's not so much like that these days, is it? Well, I actually know what he knows. I was hoping. I was hoping he would come up and tell us for us, because I do know what it is. It's very important. Oh, come on. Oh, no. Oh, no, Vinyl Richie. For God's sake. Oh, for God's sake. I'm putting this up because I'm horrified by this. No, you know what? The parents are the fucking Coomers. They're the Coomers, right? With the BBC decided to give us ethnic comedies at prime time. Gone was your Just Good Friends. Gone was your Terry and June. Gone was your bloody Good Life. Oh no, we need a more diverse ethnic community. So they had a sketch show with Indian people. Indians, right? How hilariously funny was that? Well, I can tell you, I was drilling a hole through my own head to escape it. It was that bad. It was so unfunny. And you stand there and you say the parents were funny. They're not funny. They're not funny. And taxpayer money is paid for them to have a fucking comedy series. Only in England. Only in England. Oh yeah. Well, thank you. You see, Vinyl Dale is. I'm sorry, you see, I'll get a bit grumpy tonight. A bit grumpy because you see, pillory, plagiar, or whatever. You know, I was. They said, oh, never mind what they said. Oh, God, yeah. Well, you know, I've decided. You know, like Lester Burnham. I know he's a pufter. But on the end of American Beauty, when he did that monologue, or was it halfway through monologue? And it was just, I don't care anymore. And I thought, isn't that brilliant? We just step off. Say, yeah, I've got a little bit of money behind me. I'm going to go and get a really shit job. I'm just going to like be a deadbeat, smoke a few joints. You know, that kind of thing. And you think, yeah, let the world go by, because it's getting worse, isn't it? It's getting worse. Honestly. Yeah, I know it's terrible. It's terrible, Winifred. Anyway, talking of racist, let's put on a bit more gok. Hang on, I've gone past him. Very beautiful still. Do you remember the Vinyl Dale? Do you remember the Smith's Best 1 and 2? And if you put both of the CDs together, then you get that picture. Do you know what I mean? I also thought the one of Neil Young and Robert S. looked a bit like that as well. Best of the Smiths 1 and 2. That's it. That's the picture. I've got to make it black and white though. Oh, am I allowed to say black and white anymore? I'm allowed to say no, I can't say that actually. I can only say Alex Battlefield. It's innocent. Oh, there's so many new rules and regulations on YouTube. It's like, honestly, it's like going through a minefield. Uh, mm. Right, now listen, what I was going to say to you is I was going to put on the Neil Young video again, but the problem is it's going to be controversial because they'll be saying I'm attacking a sick man. Oh, here he is. Is that really you? Here, do you want to come up on the show and tell us how you're all doing? Here we are. Look, hang on, let me see if I can. I'm trying to get this invite button, but I've got this stupid cheapy computer. Hang on. I hope. Oh God. Oh, here we are. Here we are. Copy. All right. Copy. 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 Okay. Copy. Oh, just bear with me for a second because this stupid thing. It's here we go. Here we go. Now, where is he? Is that him, or is that him, or is it a fake? There you go. There you go. There's an invite. You can get on now. We have to get rid of Kit O'Toole and the anti-Irish wall. Right, we're removing them. Right, where is he? Listen, only if you're listen. don't go. I've got to go on a more because if Mr. Mayo, just want you to know, Mr. Mayo, if you want to come up and I won't be. I'll talk slowly and I won't be too creepy. Don't worry. Just what if you want to explain how you are, that's all you've got to do. Just we won't be cruel or rotten to you. Tell us whatever you want, and you can apologise to Martin McGrath if he was horrible to him, and at least you've done one thing good, and that is now we've got Neil Young, one of the great superstars of our time, a major discovery. I don't know if I want to watch his shows too much, though, because he rambles. Anyway, come on, where is these bloody guests? Didn't I put a link up there? Oh, here he is. Here he is. I'd like you to. Well, look, no, listen, you've got to take the day off. I think that hasn't helped your condition because as soon as you're retired, I'm not saying nothing about your food or nothing like that, but as soon as you retired, you decided, I want to be on this stream, I want to be on that stream, I want to do this show and I want to do that show, and then it's doing a film channel. It's not good for you. Do you remember in the old days when you used to get up, do your job, come home, feeling a bit knackered, I'm going to bed. Or today I feel a little bit sprightly and I want to talk about this new Beatle album. Happier times, weren't they? Happier times. But now it's who's the first to get the Beatles box? Who's the first to open up this piece of shit for £1,000? You know what I mean? It's and this is the thing. This is where it's all. Why am I doing this? Why am I bothering? And you could say, well, don't bother. Oh, look, Matthew Street. Oh, don't you start on me. Listen, if you see my show yesterday, these were my suspicions. These are my suspicions because I was saying about how my mum said, if you've got the flu, because you put a fiver on the floor and you ain't going to pick it up. And I just thought it was highly suspicious because you didn't see that original video. It was, I got all these messages come through and they said, he's been taken sick and everything. And then I see this video last about 1 minute of the hospital wall saying you know what. And I thought, well, he's holding that camera pretty steady. And he's not showing himself. So how do we know what's going on? And I was thinking this is something to do with Sean Lennon, I bet you. You know, and I thought to myself, you don't need to do this to yourself. It's you've got to learn to relax, let go. Let Beetle Brad be the first man to show this pissy Revolver box set. Do you need it? You've got it. You've got it. First track, Taxman. Second track, Eleanor Rigby. Third track, Dr. Robert. Fourth track, she said she's. We know them all. I'm bored shitless of them all. Well, yeah, you want me on Talk More Talk to do all your dirty work because that whole thing's falling apart. This is another thing. All these experts, it's unbearable. And I mean, what are we talking about now? It's getting ridiculous. I see Kenny Loggins the other day talking to some woman. I like the colour of her jumper, but what she was talking about, drivel. Again, drivel. Where's your Philip Normans and your bitchy Peter Browns these days and your Albert Goldmans? I'm just drinking a Murphy's. Oh. I'm just reading something. But listen, if you're still in hospital, knock once, and if you're out of hospital, knock twice. But I'm sure Robert S is useless because he got the information. It was funny. I was watching Doc Docus's stream. Robert S coming up. He's almost in tears, and then next thing, this video comes up. It was I'm all better again. Having a bitch about me, I thought that's obvious. But like I said, you should thank me because, like I said, what would you think? Because I'll tell you what, my mum, she says when my dad was coughing all the time because he smoked about 60 fags a day, and she'd say to him, she'd say, "Oh, do you know what? I bet your lungs are really brown." And he goes, he says, "Why don't you stop me smoking then?" She says, "What's the point?" She says, "Because you won't listen." But now, because I've been through that shit, you know, I've been through it with the booze. I've been through it with the drugs. I don't mean my taking drugs. I mean people I know that have died because of that. You know, and it's not something that happens overnight. It's something that people just get into a situation where they can't control themselves. I'm not saying that you're doing any of that, but I'm just saying you've got exercise now. You've got to get a dog. Matthew Street would tell you, look at the shape he's in. Fighting fit. National Guard. Trained to kill. John Rambo, Delta Squad. You see? Now I'm not taking the piss because I was thinking today, how far can I run up the road? And I thought, I can't fucking run up the road. If somebody says to me, let's have a game of football, I'll be dead within 10 minutes. Not even 10 minutes, I think 5 minutes, I'll be dead. So I've got a lot of exercising to do. I've been very slobbery recently. I've been spending a lot of time doing nothing. Nothing. Yeah, so anyway, listen, changing the subject slightly. I mean, I think you was taken bad because you weren't invited onto the Revolver, or was it the John Lennon birthday special? Oh yeah, that was funny. That was funny before events overtook. I thought I was watching a little bit of Talk More Talk's John Lennon birthday special, which was really boring, really boring. And then I thought Mr. Mayo hadn't been invited to be a guest speaker. And I thought he's probably sulking about it, which is why he did his own John Lennon, so just in case Julian's watching, Jude and Sean and Yoko, and then he gets on fucking Mason, who went through every single track of every single album. And then, if I'm not mistaken, Animal House turned up, and he's about as welcome as bubonic plague. I can't remember exactly because there's been so many events with the John Lennon birthday and stuff, and and there was a really boring one as well, Glenn Kellaway and his buddy. Oh God, that was tedious. And I'm sorry if there's anyone out there that likes Glenn Kellaway. I just thought it was tedious. That was all. I only watched 5 minutes of it because it weren't going to get any better, and the guests weren't going to get any better. Oh yeah, but anyway, just to let you know that Richie Dolin has got some vital information to tell us. I don't think he's going to show up, so I'm going to have one more joint, and I might sing a couple of Beatles songs for you. And who knows where the wheel could end? My Beatles wheel. Where could it end up? Could it be the early Beatles? Could it be the mid Beatles? Could it be the colourful psychedelic Beatles, or could it be the greasy junky Let It Beatles? What could it be? What could it be? We'll soon find out, because I have to try and give myself a Beatle tune, because if I don't, lose it or use it or lose it. You know the one. But we don't want no requests. And by the way, I don't think we're going to sing anything from Revolve, because without even listening to the album, without getting in any way excited about this, because I think it's very unnecessary. I really don't think it's necessary. I just think it's damn stupid. And you know what? The sad thing is, I'm even pissed off now that I don't want to see any more of these stupid box sets coming along, remastered, remade louder. That's all. Made louder and fucked up, like they did with the White Album. And the problem is now, because you've got on my memory stick, I've got 3 or 4 different types, which is why I deleted that latest All Things Must Pass remix, because I thought I don't want to accidentally upload that onto another gadget, and then all of a sudden I've got that shitty Sir Frankie Chris. But don't worry about it, because I'm not uploading Beatles onto my gadgets anymore, because I can't be fucked to listen to them. What a sad situation. It's a sad situation. Anyway, listen, what I'm going to do, just to let you remember how good John was, we're going to do, this is a song from a friend of mine called Paul. Well, you were just 17, you know what I mean. Anyway, we're not singing that because it's paedophilia and it's been banned now. So just another song that we can't sing anymore. And good for that as well. Good for that. Oh. Yeah, well, why don't you stop me smoking? Yeah, well, listen, I'm not here to play to the gallery. You don't know, I could have a million things wrong with me. I could be like the uncle on Curse of the Claw. But listen, I'm not here to trouble you people with it. I'm here to talk about the Beatles, and I just don't want to talk about the Beatles anymore. Why am I watching this? Why am I watching myself speaking about this? What am I doing? What am I doling? Oh. So, well, I think that's about it. I haven't got anything else to share with you. I really haven't, apart from just don't buy any more Beatles stuff. Fuck them. Anything. Not McCartney. Not nothing. You're wasting your money. You really are wasting your money. I'm just trying to think though. If you're not allowed to eat like a nice bit of grub, I'll just get some cocaine. Get some cocaine. Be gone in a flash, but you'll have a good night. You will. You will. Anyway, with that, I'm off. Goodbye.